Hello, this is Deborah with Black Education TV, and I'm going to be talking about the exploitation of Haitian women that were actually survivors of that devastating earthquake they had a few years ago. These women being survivors are being taken advantage of by a major international charity. Now, this international charity, in which I'm not seeing the name for that as of yet, they just call it a major international charity, and you can just about name a few that are major international charities that go various places. I guess they're trying to protect them at this point because I am not finding the name of the charity. The article simply states a major international charity, but anyway, they covered up that its employees had sex parties, including a full-on Caligula orgy in which they used Haitian prostitutes who were survivors of the devastating earthquake. Now, what am I talking about here? This is a charity that comes into the area, it sweeps into the area pretending to be there to help. And while they're there helping, this charity, while they're there helping, they say, we're going to have some sex parties and we're going to get some Haitian prostitutes. Now, I have some reservations about the Haitian prostitutes, okay? Not saying that women down there do not practice prostitution. But when you go and you find people who have been devastated by disaster, people who are in a desperate situation, they have hungry children, hungry families, and they are just in a position where they are unable to help themselves. You can get them to do just about anything. So this whole thing of Haitian prostitutes makes it seem like this is just something they do just because they want to, and not something that they're doing because they feel they have to. Again, I am not justifying the actions of prostitutes. I'm just stating how people, men, rich, dirty, filthy-minded men take advantage of people who they know are in volatile situations. Okay. And so as we look at this, they name various ones who they say were allowed to resign without any discipline after their sex parties were discovered. They were allowed to resign. You see, and these men come from various places. Belgium, just a different numbers of places. It says one source told the newspaper that there was footage of full-on Caligula orgy with women wearing Oxfam T-shirts. And, all kinds of things could be said about these women and what they have done to make them look as horrible as they can. But the men, they just simply resigned. Let me read some more of this article. It says Oxfam said that it launched an investigation as soon as it learned of the claims, the allegations that some prostitutes were underaged and was not substantiated, and that it did not tell Haitian authorities because it was extremely unlikely that any action would be taken. Well, first of all, you're dealing with people that are in a volatile situation. We all saw the earthquake devastation down in Haiti. Hundreds of thousands of people lost their lives. Let me just read some more of this article here. It says international efforts to help ease the pain of the January 10th earthquake that hit Haiti, which the local government says more than 300,000 people and it killed more than 300,000 people and left more than 1 million people homeless, and have been criticized for failing to bring help efficiently. Okay, it's funny how they say that the local government, the Haitian government, has been criticized for failing to bring help efficiently. I have reservations about statements like that, family. I'm going to just tell you why. Because when these areas are devastated by poverty already, you know that they're devastated by poverty. They can't even handle such a disaster. But to criticize them for failing to bring help efficiently, I found that utterly amazing. The local officials were devastated themselves. Okay, so here we go. Here's one. They're naming one charity right here. It says the American Red Cross collected close to $500 million for relief after the quake, but faced scrutiny in 2015 after reports that it built only 6 permanent homes. So what the heck happened to that $500 million, American Red Cross? Now, I noticed that they're not naming American Red Cross as the major international charity that was involved in the sex scandal, but they wanted to let you know how much money they raised. So it makes you wonder which charity was involved in the exploitation of these black women. It says the organization, which was also criticized for lack of transparency on how money was spent, said that the reports lacked context. Whatever. And noted that it spent large amounts of money on setting up emergency shelters such as tents because it ultimately helped more people. Oh, boo-hoo, Red Cross. Setting up the temporary shelters ultimately helped more people. So that's what you're saying happened to the $500 million. You built 6 permanent houses, and you set up temporary shelters. But yet, this other international charity found time to have sex parties and orgies, exploiting these women. Look, family, we all know that this is nothing new. We covered a story years ago where you have British soldiers who would go into Africa. They go into Africa, and what they do is they force themselves on the women of the area. They force themselves on the women. And the women are literally raped into submission. And they have children. And what's going on is a lot of these women were married to African men. And when they would give birth to these mulatto mixed children, their husbands would literally go out of their minds. Many of these women had to flee because their husbands were angry. Some of the mixed children that were born were killed by the husbands. Now, I know that sounds horrible, but I'm just telling you what happened. And so a lot of these women would flee, and they had to set up a village where these women and their mixed children could flee because their husbands no longer wanted them after the white male dropped his seed into their wives' wombs. And so this thing that we see happening down in Haiti is no big surprise. The European male has always felt that he can have his way with anybody's body that he could. And it's funny how they try to push this whole thing of black men being the worst rapist and that they're so overly sexed, but you all can't even go and help someone in a charity without forcing yourself on someone, invading their bodies, having sex parties. Utterly ridiculous. And then those poor women in Africa and the children that were born of them, it is just horrendous. I mean, this has been going on for centuries. This is nothing new. But those poor women and those children had to flee to villages to keep from being killed or hurt. I'm not justifying the actions of the black African men that did this at all, but these men felt like their pride, their life, their love, their stability, their manhood was robbed when you have these British soldiers going in, forcing themselves on their wives, raping them, dumping his sperm into these women, and they are forced to give birth to their children. And then they take their behinds back to Europe and go play house with their wife and their children, while this other child is left to fight for its life in Africa to keep from being killed by angry black men who had every right to be angry, because you have this hypocritical monster raping their wives. So again, this thing down in Haiti It's no big surprise. The exploitation of the black womb. I talked about this in my book, Woman, Thou Art Bound. How for centuries the black woman's body has been invaded by every race of man. Every race. And that there has been no protection for the black woman. Even during the time when the fallen angels were coming down and taking women, they were taking black women. There were no white women back then. That's why in the book of Enoch, it talks about how when these women began to give birth, that the children came out looking like the angels, having pale skin and light-colored eyes and light-colored hair. So this stuff is very real, family. There's always been an invasion of the black woman's body. Everyone feels like they have a right to it. Just have your way with the black woman's body. Exploit the black woman. Take what you want from the black woman. And I know this message is not going to sit well with a lot of you. But I say just deal with it. This report of what is happening to the women in Haiti. I am so very sad to hear that our sisters down there had to be subjected to this mess just so some big-wig charity leader could get his rocks off. Okay, family, I'm going to move on from this story now. I just wanted to share this so that our people who don't know what the heck is going on in this world can get your head out of the sand. This is not a game. These things are happening. People don't want to talk about it. They want to kumbaya their way into oblivion. While these things continue to happen and we continue to shut our eyes to it like some dumb Christians. Not meaning to insult Christians, but that whole idea of forgive everybody, love everybody has us thinking that these types of things should be excused. And what I find sad is that a lot of Christian, especially Christian women, would read this story and they would say within themselves that these horrible prostitutes threw themselves at these men. That's what a lot of Christian women would say. And I find it very sad. Instead of them looking at the bigger picture that these women were getting over something that was very devastating. They survived. And now they're trying to continue to survive. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it right there, family. Shalom.